Hello everyone and welcome to The New Hits. This is the very first episode of the show, so I'm going to quickly explain how this works. In these videos, I'm going to give my thoughts on the songs breaking into or debuting in the Hot 100's Top 40. Generally, these will be first impressions, likely less fleshed out opinions when compared to my Top 20 ranking videos. In addition, I'm going to speak on whether I think the songs being discussed have potential for longevity. Will they stick around, possibly even become massive, or dip out fast? That's what I like to mull on. Without any further delay, this week we have one breakthrough and two debuts, all in the lower end of the top 40 to talk about. So let's start with the breakthrough. So Morgan Wallen, after pretty much out of nowhere getting a top 10 entry a month ago, has a completely different song getting a massive boost into the top 40. As shortly after a video release, it's been given a good radio push. What do I think of this one? Just like Wallen's last big radio hit, Chasing You, it does have this aura around it that makes me think I should like it, but not enough is really being done to convince me to think highly of it. The song is fine, but the instrumentation feels a bit watered down as opposed to the well-executed, relaxed tones of Chasing You. I still find myself surprised how much I like Wallen's vocals on all his recent cuts, and he shoots for a new concept for him. He's in love with this girl, but he doesn't want to follow her into the world because he's too attached to his roots. Unfortunately, I feel like the concept is a swing and a miss, and again, just like Chasing You, the lyrics are the track's weak point. It's still pleasant enough, though. I think I'd be satisfied giving More Than My Hometown a 6 out of 10, decent. As for future prospects, even though the song's been out for a while, it's got lots of time to grow on country radio, so I feel like this one will stick around for a little bit off that alone. Sadly, since that means even more time of 7 summers being ignored. Just push it harder, please. Now on to 2 tracks new this week. First off,
it's okay not to feel okay.
Marshmello has been on a bit of a hot streak recently, maybe not in terms of success compared to some previous tracks, but certainly in terms of quality, having pumped out Be Kind and Come and Go, 2 fantastic singles in a row. So, I was curious to hear what he would bring to the table with Demi Lovato, and yet cautious, as I was worried he'd stray too far into the territory he covered excellently with the aforementioned 2 songs, to lesser effect. To a lack of surprise for me, this was pretty much exactly what he did, as in terms of production, this just feels like a weaker Be Kind, but with power traded for groove. While that doesn't sound like a bad thing, the track in the end still comes across as too overly derivative for me to want to seek it out, especially when I can just listen to Be Kind instead. Meanwhile, Demi Lovato, with a rather nondescript performance drowned by Marshmello's production and generic self-empowerment lyrics that at least do what they're trying to do better than, say, Be Happy by Dixie D'Amelio from earlier this year. Ultimately, there's nothing about the song that convinces me I should be paying it much mind. I'm feeling a 5 out of 10, ironically an okay, here. For the song's prospects, considering the run Be Kind had in Demi Lovato's recent track record, I'm not particularly hopeful. It might get a radio run, but otherwise I don't see it lasting in the top 40. Finally, we get to... I plan on setting a precedent here that I'm going to try to spend much less time on big album cuts that likely won't have longevity, even if, like here, there's only 1 or 2 of them. To keep it short, this one is pretty good, and I lay most of the accolades for that on the beat, some of the best production YoungBoy's ever had, and he and Lil Wayne both ride it very well with good flows. Nothing special about the content here, it's your standard YoungBoy track, but executed much better than probably any other cut I've heard from him. And unlike on the What's Poppin' remix, which is the last I heard from him, Lil Wayne is a welcome addition here for sure. Preemptively, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 good. I'm very pleasantly surprised, and I'm now actually interested in checking out more from Top. Speaking of albums, this is an album cut, and not the song YoungBoy's pushing from said album, so I doubt it'll spend any longer than a week here, unfortunately. So, those are our new hits this week. Overall, I'm feeling positive about this week with one big surprise, and nothing bad to speak of. Might change next week with AGR looking to possibly make a breakthrough, but we'll cover that when it happens. See you guys next week for more new hits.